Landmarks and iconic structures destroyed by the Los Angeles wildfires. The recent wildfires in Los Angeles have led to the destruction of several historic landmarks and culturally significant sites. The Los Angeles Conservancy estimates that 32 properties it considered historic because of their architectural or cultural significance were consumed by the fires, which have destroyed or damaged more than 9,000 structures. We start with a historically important home that became a museum and shrine to a bygone era of Hollywood and movie-making beginnings. The Will Rogers Ranch. This historic residence was once home to the famed actor and humorist Will Rogers. The house was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1971. The house featured 31 rooms, including 11 baths and 7 fireplaces, a horse stable, corrals, riding ring, roping arena, golf course, and polo fields surrounded the house. After his death in a plane crash in 1935, his widow, Betty, donated the ranch to the state in 1944, and it became the historic state park that has served as a living museum dedicated to the memory of one of America's most beloved citizens. The city had already begun removing as much of the museum's artifacts as possible in advance as it became evident the fires were headed in the state park's direction. Horses on the property and other animals had been already transported to a safer location. In just a matter of a few short hours, the home and horse stables were ablaze, and another piece of Los Angeles history was reduced to rubble. A chimney and some flower pots are all that remained. The loss of the Will Rogers Ranch house is a devastating blow to California's cultural heritage. The fire not only claimed an iconic piece of history but also erased a tangible link to one of America's most endearing public figures. Efforts may focus on rebuilding or memorializing the site, but its unique charm and historical authenticity will be irreplaceable. There are so many more scenes like this all over Palisades and Altadena, the other mountainside community devastated by the fires. We will be visiting the ruins of some of them shortly, but now we visit the famous seaside hotel once inhabited by an infamous killer. The Topanga Ranch Motel. In 1929, San Francisco native and newspaper magnate Randolph Hearst built the bungalow-style Topanga Ranch Motel, which was across the street from Topanga Beach. Originally it was a campsite with tents and bungalows, called Cooper's Camp, but Randolph Hearst bought the property and built the site into a 30-unit motel. Tourists, families, and writers stayed there for decades. Even the road workers who built the Pacific Coast Highway stayed here. The success of this motel attracted others, and soon the area was a popular destination for the working class and the rich to get away from the heat and enjoy the cool ocean breezes. In the late 1960s, the motel fell into disrepair and became a hangout for bikers and hippies. It was called the Snake Pit by local residents. Some remember Charles Manson spent 1968 here before relocating to Spahn Ranch in Box Canyon in the western San Fernando Valley. These are scenes filmed right before the motel was consumed by wildfire. High winds and dry embers left the structures unsavable. Next door was a popular seaside restaurant called Real, in which was consumed by flames as well. The Robert Bridges house, the house, which Bridges moved into with his wife and 3 sons in 1991, was designed in the brutalist style, with exposed concrete ceilings and custom furniture. It towered over Sunset Boulevard below and could be seen by commuters from the street below. Perhaps it might be saved, as it was a solid concrete structure, but only time will tell. The historic estate of the prolific Western writer Zane Grey was once celebrated as Altadena's first fireproof home, but was destroyed by the Eaton Fire. The plaque will now only serve as a reminder of what once stood here. Constructed in 1907, the Mediterranean Revival-style house was constructed entirely of reinforced concrete and thought to be immune to fire. Unfortunately, the house was not immune to fire and burned on January 8. The Andrew McNally House was built by the eponymous map-making impresario who co-founded publisher Rand McNally. Firemen were unable to save the iconic home, and like so many others, it has become but a memory. Only the facade of the once grand home remains. The Altadena Mansion, commonly known as the Pink Mansion, had been used in a number of Hollywood productions, has burnt down with only the facade remaining. Among the local businesses that burned down was the famous Bunny Museum, which boasted a Guinness-certified 45,000 artifacts and objects devoted exclusively to rabbits. A total loss. Thankfully, no real bunnies were present. Palisades Charter High School. Featured in films like Brian De Palma's adaptation of Stephen King's Carrie, this school suffered significant damage but is still expected to reopen in the near future. Among the notable alumni of Palisades High have been J.J. Abrams, Jeff Bridges, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Forrest Whitaker, and Steve Kerr. Some of the other movies filmed there were Teen Wolf, Old School, and Freaky Friday. The movie Carrie ended with the fictional Bates High School burning down. Many other commercial structures fell victim to the wildfires, among them, the Theatre Palisades, a popular local playhouse since the 1960s. Also destroyed by the Palisades fire was the Pacific Palisades Business Block, a Spanish colonial revival building designed by architect Clifton Norse that dated to 1924. It was designed to feel like a welcoming open-air market with shopping, dining, and plenty of pedestrian convenience. Destroyed by fire on January 8, 2025. Hopefully, it can be restored. Pacific Palisades Bowl Mobile Estates, nestled along the iconic Pacific Coast Highway, this once thriving community was home to generations of residents, many of whom inherited their homes from parents who purchased them during the 1960s and 70s, long before property values would have made such an idyllic locale unaffordable. Now, the land is likely to be sold to developers, and the scenic, laid-back lifestyle that had defined this community for decades is now a poignant memory for its former residents. The losses from this tragic event deeply sadden us. We will bring more information on the wildfire and the communities that suffered so much loss. Let us hope that lessons will be learned from these tragic, life-changing events. Please consider subscribing for more from the Nostalgia Network.